Hey guys, it's Craig, your garden guy here from Yard to Table Creations, and we're gonna step out of the garden a little bit and into the kitchen because we wanna talk a little bit more about the to-table part of this. There's no shortage of things to distract me from taking the time to go out in my garden and not just use up what's in the garden and what we've put so much effort into growing, but just using up your food in general and making it easy for you to prepare a healthy meal every night. And I'm just gonna share with you my weekly process, which I think is kind of a life hack, kind of a cheat code for me for making, on a short schedule, being able to make dinner that is healthy, make good food choices without having to have the stress every day of what am I gonna make today? Just like being in the garden, being prepared before you plant, making sure your soil is amended, making sure your irrigation is working, making sure your garden is ready to receive plants before you start planting anything, having a plan, what's gonna go where, what did I plant here, where do I need to rotate to here? Having all of those thoughts done first makes gardening a much more enjoyable experience because you don't have to spend as much time guessing, wondering if what you did was right or wrong. The same goes in the kitchen. First thing we do is we're gonna go through and we're gonna go shopping in our own house first. So we're gonna look around in the garden, we're gonna go look around in the refrigerator, we're gonna go check the deep freezer out in the garage, and we're gonna see just what we have laying around. We have some produce that was gifted from a good friend. So we have some heirloom tomatoes, some bell peppers here. Take a look over here. I've got probably more potatoes than I actually need that are gonna need to be used up. They're all starting to sprout their eyes, so these need to go. And then we're gonna just take a look through the fridge. I'm just gonna take a quick look over here, see what I have, see what's in the produce drawer. I'll run out to the garage freezer, pick out my proteins, come back here and I'll make my list and we'll see you right back. First step done. This is everything that I have in my house that I need to use. But obviously we need to come up with at least 6 days worth of meals. I always leave the 7th day for the day went wrong and I just don't have time to cook, so maybe we eat out that day, or we'll eat leftovers, whatever we have left over from earlier in the week. Maybe we'll go out and splurge and we'll get sushi, who knows. But I always plan at least 6 meals. I don't like to apply it to a specific day. I find that I can never really predict how my day goes. So I just write a list of 6 meals that can be made at any time. The only exception to that is that every Sunday, I plan on making a large batch of food because that ends up being Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday's lunches for my wife and I, and my daughter. And then on Wednesday, we will make something larger than what we need for dinner. And that way we have leftovers for lunches Thursday and Friday. This is basically our built-in meal prep. So now this is where I have to put my chef hat on. And this is where my experience in the kitchen kind of gives me personally a leg up on how to think about this because I've worked this muscle in my brain for a lot of years. This is probably the part that takes the most creativity for someone out there who is not used to cooking every single day. But you don't have to be fancy. Let's be honest. Most of us don't have more than 30 to 40 minutes to cook dinner. So let's keep it simple. Simple food is the best food as long as it's done right. It does not need to be 5-star haute cuisine type meal. Don't be afraid to put as much thought as you need to into this process because all the effort you're putting into this process right now is what's going to save you all the effort for the rest of the week. And there was a famous quote by the designer Michael Kors when somebody asked him why he always wears the same outfit, black jacket, white collared shirt, black pants. And he said, because if I had to think every day being a clothing designer of what I was going to wear, I'd never get dressed. So he just keeps it simple so he doesn't have to think about it. We're doing the same kind of thing here. We're trying to take as much thought out of our busy week as we can at the end of the night, because let's face it, after work, after getting the kids to sports, picking the kids up, getting your workout in, doing all the things that we have to do Monday through Friday, I really don't want to come home and have to use my brain all that much. I would just like to come home, cook, make it a relaxing experience, know that I'm cooking good, nutritious, delicious food for my family. Don't feel guilty about making bad food choices. And if we do this 6 nights a week, no one feels guilty about going out to dinner once a week. So what we got here is we've got sliders and potatoes. Obviously I said I had a lot of potatoes, so I need to figure out how to use potatoes in a couple different dishes. I also like to keep things kind of vague. Pork sausage sandwiches with roasted peppers. We've got some onions over there. We'll chop some onions up. We'll do your kind of classic sausage sandwich. I probably won't add much of a side there because that'll be pretty filling. We've got taco night. We've got to use the limes that are on here. We've got the tomatoes. If we don't use all these peppers, those can go in the tacos. Something everybody likes, not much work involved in making it. There's just gonna be some things we're gonna need to buy for this list, but we'll get to that. I've got the frozen turkey breast in my freezer. Everybody likes roasted turkey. If I'm going to turn on the oven and I'm going to roast something, I might as well throw a bunch of vegetables on that sheet tray. Roast them all at once, one tray meal, done, easy breezy. Steak night, we like to do steak night. In fact, I'm gonna change this. I noticed that we had salad. So steak night is gonna turn into steak salad, which is always a popular meal in a house. It's also quick and easy. Chop up some veggies, cook off a steak on the grill maybe, chop it up and done. We always also keep a jar of homemade vinaigrette in there. I make a 1 quart jar at a time. And that way we have vinaigrette for whenever we need it. And then I always throw in something that's like a 1-pot meal. In this case, it's curry because we all like curry. But the reason why I do that is because that's a really easy dumping ground for all the stuff that you didn't get through. Potatoes that we still need to use that we didn't eat. Leftover potatoes from slider night. Tomatoes, peppers, whatever vegetables we have laying around. There's some broccoli in there and some green beans from another friend of mine. I don't know where I'm going to fit those in here yet, but I know if by the time I get to curry, I know where they're going. So now we've got all this. So now what we need to do, since we've managed to use everything on this list of what we needed to get through in our menu, but there are some things on this menu that we're going to need that we don't have yet, and that's going to become our shopping list. This is the easiest way to keep your shopping under $100 a week. I generally spend for a family of 3 somewhere in the neighborhood of $80 to $100 a week on groceries, but that includes all the basics, milk, yogurt, all the things that may not be in here, coffee. But as far as just what we need for dinners, I try to keep this to like $50. So if we go through here, what do I need? Sliders. Do we have the bread? We have the bread here already. We have the ground beef. We have the potatoes. I don't need to buy anything for that. Pork sausage sandwich, roasted peppers. We have the peppers. I have the pork, but I'm gonna need some buns. So we're gonna add sausage buns. Taco night. We already have the tortillas. We have the limes. What I don't have is meat for tacos. So let's get some carne asada. What are we gonna have as our side? Beans and rice are always popular, but it always ends up being too much food. So I just end up doing beans. I have in my spice rack over here, we have a whole shelf of just a variety of different beans, canned goods over there that are really handy to have on hand for nights just like this. Might even throw a side salad on top of that. If we had a leftover salad from another night, we'll go ahead and throw it in there. We have our roast turkey breast. We already have the turkey. We already have all the vegetables we're gonna need to roast because we can just throw all the roasted veggies on a pan. Whatever roasted veggies we don't eat are either going to become our lunch like I mentioned before, or they're probably gonna end up in that curry at the end of the week. Steak salad. So what I don't have over here is a nice steak. So in carne asada, we'll go ahead and get ourselves a nice, I like to cook tri-tip a lot because it's a lot of food. We're not gonna eat it all in one night, and it makes a really good lunch for the next few days. So we'll do tri-tip. We have the salad in there, we have the vinaigrette, and then curry. What do we need for curry? Let's take a moment to talk about curry, because curry is not a dish, it is a preparation. It does not really matter what you put in it. All that matters to call it curry is that you use a specific set of spices, which come from a very long list of Indian spices, and that you cook it in a certain way, which is hot oil, fry the spices, fry the vegetables, whatever else you're putting in there, oftentimes vegetarian, which, side note, my wife likes vegetarian food, so I like to try and throw in at least one vegetarian dish if I can. And then, like I said, leftover beans, whatever you got, you can put whatever you want in it as long as you follow the process of making a curry and building a sauce. A couple things for curry that I don't always have on hand. One would be coconut milk. And then from here, what I need to do is I need to go through and just double and triple check what's everything I need for this, and I'll just continue to write my list. As I kind of mentioned at the beginning of this video, we've gone through this whole process now. And what we've really done here is we've just gotten ourselves organized. The whole point of having a garden could be different for a lot of people, but for me and for a lot of people that I know, a lot of my clients, it's about a few things. It's about knowing you have control over your own food, knowing that your food is nutritionally up to par and not missing vitamins and minerals from the store because it's a commodity farm product, but also having really rich flavors. Most importantly for me, is for me and my family to be connected from where our food comes from. So having food, whether it came from your garden, was gifted from somebody else's garden, is extremely important to show the respect to the people that grew it and to the food itself and make sure it's not wasted. If you can't use it all, it happens. If you grow enough tomatoes, you're gonna be so tired of tomatoes by the end of the summer, you can't wait to give them away. So what we're doing here is we're preparing ourselves to be successful with the food at the end of its life cycle. We can also take this entire concept back out to the garden, making sure that we're doing our due diligence before we plant, getting our gardens ready, and then doing the weekly maintenance. Just like I treat this like weekly maintenance for our diet, Go out there and do that weekly maintenance in your garden to keep your plants healthy, make healthy food, make your body healthy. Enjoy the process, take the stress out of it, have fun with it. Bon appetit.